Why do you offer this to me? It is your me.
It is yours, always.
For 7 long years, a quiet orphan girl slipped through a creaking cemetery gate each night to leave bread and fruit at a grave nobody else remembered. She never expected an answer. She never expected the grave to still be watching. What begins as a small, stubborn act of kindness in a forgotten English churchyard unravels into a story of ancient curses, forbidden mercy, ruthless vampire nobility, ritual sacrifice, and a love strong enough to be dragged back across the boundary of death, not once, but twice. This is the story of Era and Cashin, the girl who woke a monster, and the monster who chose over and over again to be saved by her. Across 10 parts, their tale moves from a lonely graveyard vigil to a siege, a war, a resurrection, and a bond that outlasts centuries. Settle in. The gravekeeper's tale is only just beginning. The iron portals of the graveyard protested loudly, sounding like things in their final agony as she pushed past them. Her well-worn boots ground against the fragile frost-covered foliage. November's grip had denuded the ancient oak trees, their bare skeletal boughs grasping at a sky the hue of old contusions. She held the parchment wrapped bundle tightly to her chest, bread, cheese, 2 shriveled apples, and consciously avoided dwelling on the empty shelves of the groundskeeper's small cottage, or the way her uncle's palm had rested for too long on her shoulder earlier that morning. It had been 7 years since she started this pilgrimage. 7 years since a malignant fever claimed her mother, leaving the 9-year-old Era an orphan under her uncle's reluctant guardianship. 7 years since she had first discovered the overlooked tomb concealed behind the towering mausoleum. The stone was so ancient that the inscription had eroded into faint phantom depressions. The words read, "Here lies a man who rescued many remembered by none. Someone should remember," she had thought. Someone should care. So with each passing night, as the churchyard subsided into deep shadow, Era brought whatever meager scraps she could spare and laid them at the anonymous grave, a curious observance, perhaps even deranged. Her uncle certainly viewed it that way. On the rare occasions he noticed the provisions were missing, but it was her act. In a life defined by scrubbing floors, enduring harsh words, and locking her door against the creaking noises of the night, this small gesture of devotion felt like preserving an unblemished piece of her inner self. Tonight, the frigid November wind carried the metallic tang of impending snow. Ara's thin shawl offered little defense against the cold as she navigated the maze of lopsided headstones towards the oldest section. Moonlight etched everything in shades of silver and impenetrable darkness. An owl's cry from the chapel roof was immediately consumed by the profound stillness of the deceased. She rounded the mausoleum and froze. A man was standing next to the grave. Her heart pounded violently against her ribs. In her 16 years, she had never once encountered another living soul in the cemetery after sunset. The figure was strikingly tall, unnaturally motionless, and clad in attire that seemed to be centuries out of time, a dark overcoat with gleaming silver buttons and boots that reached his knees. His hair cascaded past his shoulders, he blacker than the void between stars. He turned and the moonlight illuminated his face. Beautiful. The description arrived unbidden and unwelcome. Razor-sharp cheekbones, a mouth that looked chiseled from pure marble, and eyes that mirrored the moon with feline intensity. Yet, it was a beauty that constricted her throat with innate terror, the way prey senses the predator before it moves. "You're the one." His voice was low, raspy, with long dessous, each syllable formed with deliberate care, as if he were relearning the mechanics of speech. 7 years every night, her fingers clenched tighter around her bundle. The chapel was 50 yards away. Could she outrun him? "I didn't intend to intrude. I will leave. You brought sustenance." He took one step closer and she realized he made absolutely no sound. No crunching of leaves, no disturbance of the air. For a dead man's grave, she whispered, hating the tremor in her voice. Even the unremembered deserved kindness. Something flickered across his features. Perhaps shock or maybe agony. Up close, she perceived details that settled like a layer of frost in her gut. The unnatural smoothness of his skin. The fact that his chest did not rise and fall with breath. the faint network of veins at his temples like ink under parchment. What are you? The question escaped before common sense could restrain it. His smile was dreadful and melancholic. The very answer you're contemplating, the one sane people dismiss as folklore. He inclined his head, scrutinizing her with an intensity that made her feel transparent. You ought to flee to scream to summon your uncle, who even now is drowning his consciousness in gin at the local tavern. Era's cheeks flushed with heat. Of course he would know. Of course, monsters would be privy to all the small degradations of her life. But you won't, he continued. Because you do not fear the right things, do you, little keeper of graves? The term, if it was meant to be one, struck her as oddly gentle. She forced herself to stand taller to meet those reflective eyes. Will you harm me? I should. His gaze lowered to her throat, and she felt it like a phantom touch, a faint pressure against her pulse point. I haven't fed in. How long has it been? Time moves strangely in the darkness. He closed his eyes, and a look almost like human sorrow crossed his face. But I find I cannot, not you. Not after. He gestured towards the tomb, towards the small array of offerings she could now see. 7 years of her bread and fruit, undisturbed, preserved as if by some arcane magic, or by a thing that did not require mortal sustenance, yet could not bear to violate this peculiar, persistent benevolence. How long have you been conscious? 3 months, perhaps 4. He opened his eyes again. I was intended to slumber eternally, a justly deserved punishment. But your offerings, his jaw clenched tight. Blood magic operates in strange ways. Intention matters, belief. You awakened me, little keeper. You nourished not my body, but the flicker of my humanity, and that was potent enough to shatter the binding. The wind howled, carrying the smell of snow and something else. Decomposition, age, the unique mustiness of things too long interred. Era shivered, but not purely from the cold. What will you do now? That depends. He moved with liquid grace, circling her like a predator, assessing its quarry. There are others like me, others who will detect that I have stirred. They will come, and when they do, he stopped directly in front of her, close enough that she could feel the absence of warmth radiating from him, and see the inhuman stillness of his form. Anyone close to me will be in mortal peril. Then why inform me? Why not simply vanish? His smile became regal. Because I have been isolated in the dark for 2 centuries. Because you are the first living being to show me kindness, and longer than that. Because he extended his hand, palm upwards, an antique gesture of invitation. I am offering you sanctuary. Thorn, come with me. Allow me to shield you from what is approaching, both the evils you are familiar with and the ones you are not. She stared at his outstretched hand, at the pale, unblemished palm that had somehow learned her full name from the abyss or the dead, or whatever whispers reached the reanimated in their tomes. Every rational instinct screamed for her to flee, to run back to the groundskeeper's cottage with its locked door and recognizable horrors. But his eyes held an expression she recognized immediately. Loneliness, the specific ache of being unseen, unremembered, unmourned. For 7 years, she had maintained a vigil at a forgotten grave. Perhaps it was time to find out who or what she had awakened. Era placed her hand in his. His skin was chilly as marble, dry as aged parchment, and his fingers closed around hers with unexpected tenderness. My name, he said softly, is Cassian. The moon vanished behind heavy clouds, and the cemetery was swallowed by total darkness. Cassian guided her through the cemetery to a quarter she had never explored, where the most ancient headstones tilted like drunkards and ivy had consumed everything. Tucked behind a crumbling chapel wall, partially obscured by decades of neglect, stood an iron gate encased in thorny vines. He touched it, and the metal groaned open onto a descending track. Where are we going? Era's voice sounded too loud in the suffocating silence. Somewhere they won't immediately think to search. His hand remained clasped around hers, cool and unwavering. I've kept a few bolt holes. This was always my most cherished. The path opened into a small hidden valley she was certain had not existed moments prior. At its heart crouched a grand manor house. It was all dark stone and sharply peaked gables, its windows like ever-watchful eyes. Moonlight seemed unable to properly illuminate it. Shadows clung tenaciously where light should have reached. "It's warded," Cashin said, sensing her gaze. "Blood magic older than your country. Once you step across the threshold, you will be tethered to it, safe but unable to depart until I release you." He turned to face her completely. "This is your final opportunity to retreat, Thorn. After this, you are committed to whatever destiny unfolds." She should have been terrified. Every sensible fiber of her being insisted upon it. But when she looked at him, truly looked, she noticed the careful distance he maintained, the way he had positioned his body so she could flee if she chose. A monster who requested permission, a lifeless being who comprehended kindness. "My uncle will return intoxicated tonight," she said quietly. "He'll find my door locked, and he'll break it down. He's been leading up to it for months." She fixed her gaze on Cashin's reflective eyes. "I was already trying to escape, just moving slowly. At least this way, I get to pick what I'm running towards." A flicker of something fierce and protective crossed his features, vanishing so swiftly she might have imagined it. He gave a single sharp nod, then guided her up the loose gravel path to the mansion's imposing entrance. The heavy door swung inward at his mere touch, revealing a foyer choked with dust and furniture draped in white sheets, the chandeliers wrapped in cloth, looking like hushed, forgotten specters. "I haven't set foot in here for several decades," he confessed, gesturing her into a living area. Candles spontaneously ignited throughout the space, illuminating walls lined with innumerable books. The furnishings were in an antiquated style, and the subjects in the portrait painting seemed to regard her with judgmental stares. "Not since before they encased me. Who was responsible for this?" Era asked, placing her small bundle on a nearby side table. "The punishment you mentioned." Cashin drifted toward the windows, pulling back the heavy velvet drapes to reveal the dark night outside. "That is a narrative that spans a good deal of time. It seems we have an abundance of it." His laugh was unexpected and rough, like the sound of an old rusty hinge creaking. "Indeed, we do, don't we?" He turned, leaning against the window ledge with a calculated ease, as if he had to relearn how to perform a casual movement. "Tell me first, what was the real reason you kept leaving provisions? 7 years indicates a commitment far beyond simple remembrance." Era sank into an armchair, the sheer exhaustion finally catching up. The manor was unusually warm, heat radiating from unseen sources, and her thin shawl suddenly felt oppressive. "My mother always used to say that dying was really just the act of being forgotten." She began tracing a pattern in the dust on the chair's arm. "That we perish twice. Once when our hearts cease beating, and a second time when the last person speaks our name." I couldn't bear the idea of someone being completely obliterated, wiped out as if they had never been. "And so you appointed yourself the guardian of the nameless." "Someone had to." He regarded her for a long, unreadable moment. "You are remarkable. Do you grasp that? In 2 centuries, I've encountered perhaps 3 individuals who would even conceive of doing what you did. Most are too consumed with their own survival to spare a thought for the dead. Is that what you were doing? Surviving?" "Scarcely." He moved away from the window, beginning to ignite even more candles. The action seemed almost restless, a need for continuous motion. "I was existing. There is a crucial difference." He paused before a painting depicting a battlefield. Bodies heaped like firewood. "I was a soldier countless years ago, fighting in conflicts whose names you wouldn't recognize. I killed because I was commanded to. Later, I killed because I had forgotten how to stop." Era watched the shadows shift across his face. The way the candle light caught the darkness of his hair, and they punished you for that. "They punished me for showing mercy." His voice was flat, utterly devoid of emotion. "There was a village, a horrific slaughter. I intervened to stop it. I saved perhaps 200 human lives, but the ones I stopped were of my own kind. Vampire nobility, houses with deep-rooted authority and ancient entitlements. I broke our foundational laws to spare mortals." You met her gaze. "In our world, that is an unforgivable offense, so they entombed you alive. Technically, I was already dead. But yes, sealed inside a coffin with powerful binding spells left to an eternal torture starvation just shy of permanent oblivion. Conscious but paralyzed, unable to move. to speak, to feed. Only darkness, unrelenting hunger, and the slow disintegration of self. His hands clenched into fists, until the full weight of his sentence settled over the room like a heavy shroud. Era tried to conceive of 200 years of that solitary confinement and could not. The very thought threatened to overwhelm her. Your offerings, Cashin continued gently, were more than just food. They were intention, faith, remembrance, all the forces that fuel the most primal magic. You didn't just awaken me. You reminded me why I made that choice in the first place. Why some things are worth the price of punishment. Before she could form a reply, he stiffened, his head tilting in a distinctly non-human motion. His eyes became distant, his pupils dilating until they engulfed the iris. What is it? They are here. His voice had turned hard and unforgiving sooner than I had anticipated. They must have been observing the gravesite, waiting. Who? House Corv. The ones I betrayed. He moved to her with blinding speed, crouching before her chair. Listen carefully. This manor is ancient and heavily warded. They cannot enter without an invitation. You are secure here, but they will encircle the property. They will wait. They will attempt to lure us out. What do they desire? Vengeance, justice, my permanent demise. His eyes searched hers deeply. And now, unfortunately, they will want you as well. The mortal who roused the traitor. They will view you as an accomplice. Outside, the wind intensified, carrying faint, chilling sounds, footfalls on the gravel, whispers in languages older than English. Era's heart hammered against her ribs. This was all real. All of it horribly and wonderfully real. Cashin's cool hand found hers again. I regret this. This is not the sanctuary I promised. No, she agreed, surprised by the steadiness in her voice. It's better. It's honest. His expression softened slightly. Remarkable, he murmured once more. The candles flickered in unison, though no breeze was present. Through the window, Era caught brief glimpses of movement in the darkness. Pale figures were positioning themselves around the manor like chess pieces being set for a siege. Waiting? How long can we endure? Days? Weeks? If we are extremely cautious. Cashin rose and moved to a large cabinet, pulling out what looked like ancient charts and maps. Long enough for me to recall who I was before the compulsion, before the darkness. Long enough to formulate a counter plan. Plan what? He smiled, and this time it reached his strange moon-reflecting eyes. How two improbabilities might survive the world that buried them. Outside, something let out a deep howl, too profound for a wolf, too articulated for the wind. The siege had begun. Morning arrived without the benefit of a sunrise. Cashin had pulled the heavy blackout curtains across every window, sealing them inside a perpetual twilight broken only by the light of the candles. Era woke on a velvet chaise lounge in the library, covered with a throw that smelled faintly of lavender and antiquity. She had no memory of falling asleep. He was standing by the furthest bookshelf, perfectly still in his unsettling way, perusing a leather-bound volume. Without glancing up, he spoke. There is food in the kitchen. The protective wards maintained certain essential amenities. Era's stomach growled loudly, betraying her hunger. She hadn't eaten anything substantial since the previous morning's meager breakfast. Can you eat? She asked. No, but I recall the necessity of it. He finally turned, marking his page. The others will not breach the house today. Daylight weakens us even within shelter. We have approximately 12 hours before they seriously test the wards. She located the kitchen, a vast stone-floored chamber with an ancient hearth where a fire was already crackling. On the table lay freshly baked bread, preserves, and tea. Magic, she surmised. The idea should have alarmed her more than it did. You need to be fully informed about what you are facing, Cashin said from the doorway. She jumped. She hadn't heard him approach what we are and what they ultimately want. Tell me. Era poured the tea, her hands barely trembling. He settled into a chair across from her, his movements fluid and precisely controlled. Vampires are not a simple phenomenon. We are not merely bodies animated by a curse. We are. He paused, searching for the right descriptor. Transformed. Blood magic reconstructs us at the most fundamental level. We become stronger, faster, practically immortal. But the price is the hunger, an eternal, all-consuming need for blood, for life force. Blood is simply the conveyance. His gaze became distant. We can survive without feeding, but it is agony. Eventually, you lose all sense of self. You become nothing but raw need. That is how they punished me. Forced starvation just shy of that final dissolution. Era took a bite of bread considering his words. But you haven't attempted to feed from me. I told you I can't. Not you. Something vulnerable flickered across his face. Do you comprehend how rare it is to wake from that depth of darkness and feel anything other than hunger? Your offerings, your memory of me, they nourish something much deeper. I will not destroy that for fleeting satisfaction, but you will need to feed eventually. Yes, soon. His jaw tightened. We are constrained by certain codes. Consent is vital. Forced feeding is possible, but it leaves indelible marks on both individuals. It forges unwanted bonds that we cannot easily sever. The great houses employ willing donors, blood servants who exchange their service for protection. Rogue vampires hunt those who will not be missed. And the ones outside House Corvain are one of the most ancient, most powerful bloodlines. Bitterness laced his words. I was their champion once, their instrument. When I turned against them to rescue those villagers, I didn't just defy orders. I violated sacred law, the fundamental principle that vampire aristocracy answers to no human authority, that our will is superior to mortal existence. That is an atrocity. Yes, his agreement was soft, filled with sorrow, it is. And I was a willing participant in that system for 150 years before my conscience finally awoke. A sharp sound interrupted their discussion. Not quite a knock, but more like claws scraping rhythmically across the front door's heavy wood. Cashin's head snapped up, the predator's alertness instantly present. They are signaling for a parley, he stated. They wish to negotiate. Is that a positive sign? It suggests uncertainty. The wards are proving more robust than they anticipated. Heroes remain here regardless of what noises you hear. But Era, driven by the stubborn inquisitiveness that had both saved and jeopardized her, followed him to the main entrance hall. Cashin gave her a look of sharp frustration, but offered no further objection. He opened the door a precise 6 in. Beyond the barrier stood a woman whose beauty made Cashin's look positively restrained. She wore a gown cut from a centuries-old style, black silk that flowed like liquid shadow. Her hair was a cascade of brilliant silver, yet her features looked no older than 30. Her eyes were the deep red of polished garnets. Cashin. The name was dripped with venom and something else, perhaps lingering disappointment. Still choosing to play the guardian of the vulnerable. 2 centuries of burial taught you nothing. Lady Isolde Cashin's voice was formal and arctic. You are encroaching on magically protected territory. We are well outside your threshold. Traitor, though I confess surprised to find you so well fortified. Her gaze slid past him to settle on Era, and a palpable force radiated off her like heat distortion. Is this the insignificant mouse who roused you? How charming. Era forced herself to meet those terrifying eyes. I have a name. His oldest laugh sounded like silver bells ringing inside a scream it speaks. Does it comprehend what it is sheltering? I wonder. Does it grasp that mercy towards humans is Cashin's fatal flaw, that he discarded immortality, power, and brotherhood, all for creatures whose lives are barely long enough to matter? They matter more than you. Era countered. Cashin's hand found hers, squeezing gently in affirmation, every single one of them. Pretty rhetoric. Meanwhile, you are fading. Isolde leaned closer, though the invisible ward barrier held firm. I consented, old friend. 3 months awakened, and you have not fed once. Another week, perhaps 2, and the hunger will eclipse that romantic conscience. You will drain your little mouse dry and despise yourself for it afterward. You know this to be true. You have witnessed it firsthand. Era felt Cashin's hand tremble before he studied it. What is your demand, Isolde? Surrender. Face the justice of the house, a proper execution. In this time witnessed and finalized, her expression softened imperceptibly. We will make it swift, painless, and the girl can depart unscathed. She was merely ignorant after all. Humans cannot be expected to understand the forces they tamper with. I offer generosity, you offer mercy. Cashin, more than you showed us when you butchered 6 of our finest warriors to preserve that pathetic village. They were slaughtering children. They were feeding. His oldest composure fractured, as is our right, our very nature. You cannot hold our species to human morality. We are apex predators. Wolves do not apologize to sheep. Perhaps they should. Cashin's face became hard as carved marble. You have until tomorrow at midnight. Yield yourself, or we will shatter these wards and seize you both. She paused. Ponder it, old friend. Consider whether your little mouse is truly worth the agony we will inflict when we peel her apart to reach you. She vanished. One moment she was present, the next she was simply gone, leaving only fading traces of expensive perfume and pervasive menace. Cashin closed the heavy door and leaned against it. I can leave, Arrow whispered. If it ensures your safety. No, the response was fierce and immediate. I have spent 2 centuries learning precisely one lesson. Some lives are worth any price. He looked at her, his eyes haunted and resolute. I will not abandon you to them. Not when you are only here because of your kindness. Then we face this together. Together, he agreed. For as long as we have, they spent the day in frantic preparation. Cashin moved through the manor with military-like precision, inspecting every window, every entryway, murmuring warnings in languages she did not recognize. She watched him work, noticing the slight shaking in his hands when he thought she wasn't looking, the way he constantly pressed his fingers to his temples as if fighting a mounting pain. The hunger, she realized, was intensifying. Tell me about the warts, she requested, needing a distraction for both of them. How exactly do they function? He glanced up from a runic symbol he was refreshing with a dark, thick liquid from a vial. Blood magic. As I explained, my blood specifically combined with unbreakable intent and very old language. The manor recognizes me as its sole master. Nothing enters without my express permission. But you said they might force their way through given sufficient time, overwhelming numbers, and focused power. Yes, you moved to the next window. Isolde brought at least 10 others. I counted their power signatures last night. That is a formal war party sanctioned by the full house. They intend to end this now. Why not simply wait for you to starve? Because they aren't entirely certain I will. His smile was grim. They remember who I am, Ira. Before the tomb, I was their ultimate weapon. Efficient, ruthless, nearly unstoppable. They fear that if I recover my strength, I might simply vanish, and they would spend decades hunting me fruitlessly. Better to strike while I am compromised. Are you weak? He paused, considering, compared to what I was, tremendously, but still highly dangerous. He caught her expression. I will not pretend to be helpless. Ira, even starving. I am faster and stronger than any mortal, and I have had 200 years to strategize what I would do if I ever achieved freedom. Lady Isolde should be more fearful than she appears. That knowledge should have terrified her, but instead she felt a strange sense of security. Dusk descended like a drawn curtain. Cashin extinguished most of the candles, plunging them into near total darkness. They will arrive with a full deep night. Stay directly behind me if the wards fail. The windows exploded simultaneously inward. Glass and splintered wood shattered across the room. Era screamed, instinctively diving behind a heavy sofa as dark figures poured through the gaping openings, not walking but flowing like materialized smoke. 5 of them, their eyes burning fiercely in the gloom, their fangs exposed in feral snarls. Cashin moved like a bolt of lightning. He intercepted the first attacker mid-leap, twisted, and sent the vampire crashing through a solid wall. The second received an elbow that caved its chest cavity with a sickening crunch. The third sank its teeth into his shoulder, tearing deep. Black blood welled instantly, and Cashin's roar of agony shook the very foundation of the building. He threw off his attacker, but staggered, clutching the grievous wound. The ward's Era gasped. How did they gain an invitation? Lady Isolde stepped delicately through the shattered window, looking as fragile as death. Your little mouse extended an invitation this morning when she opened the kitchen window for fresh air. Such a small, thoughtless act, but an invitation to any part of the structure undermines the entire ward. Ancient magic is deliciously literal. Cashin forced himself upright despite the injury, placing his body squarely between Era and the circling vampires. This need not continue. Depart now, and what you will forgive us. She laughed, a sound of mockery. You are dying on your feet. Cashin, your precious morality is killing you. How rich with irony. The attackers closed in, coordinating their movements for the kill. Cashin swayed, more black blood soaking his coat. Too much blood. His skin was now parchment white, his eyes losing focus. He was dying, truly dying. Era could see it happening in real time. Stop. The word was ripped from her throat. Take me. Let him go and I will come willingly. Here now. Cashin reached for her, but his legs buckled. Isolde tilted her head. Tempting, but I think not. Your suffering is just beginning to entertain me. Something inside Era snapped, not broken, but forged like metal. She had spent 7 years tending a forgotten grave. She had tolerated her uncle's cruelty, her grief, the grinding misery of a life without options. She had been passive, timid, small, no more. She lunged for Cash and catching him as he fell. His immense weight dragged them both to the floor, his blood soaking into her dress. Up close, she could see the damage, his shoulder torn nearly to the bone, his breathing ragged despite his lack of need for air. Drink, she whispered, baring her throat. Take what you need. I can't. I don't care. Leave Cashing, please. His eyes met hers, a horrifying mix of human pain and inhuman need, drowning in self-loathing and a strange tenderness. His hand came up, cupping her face with impossible gentleness. Forgive me, he breathed. Then his mouth was on her throat and the world erupted in white. First pain, sharp, blinding, overwhelming. Then a wildfire heat rushing through her veins. Then something entirely different, something impossible connection. She felt his raw hunger, his agonizing guilt, his desperate loneliness flooding into her, even as her life force poured into him. She felt 2 centuries of darkness, the slow death of hope. The precise moment he had woken to find her offerings, and recalled what it meant to be fundamentally human. And she felt him loving her for that act. The bond snapped into existence between them, strong as wrought steel, bright as newborn stars. A blood oath, blood to blood, life to life. Cashin pulled back with a gasp, his eyes now blazing gold, his catastrophic wounds knitting closed with unnatural speed. Power radiated off him in palpable waves, and the remaining attackers instinctively recoiled, sensing the profound shift. He rose, his arms supporting Era even as new potent strength infused him. Get out, he said, his voice soft but utterly terrifying. Inform House Corvain that Cash and Thorn has returned. Tell them I claim this human under the ancient rites of a blood oath. Tell them if they want her, they will have to tear through me at full strength. Lady Isolde stared, shocked into absolute silence. Then she smiled slowly, dangerously. A blood bond. O Cashin, you magnificent fool. You have just given us the ultimate leverage. She vanished, her warriors following, leaving only shattered windows and the stench of violence. Cashin turned to Era, cupping her face in both his hands. What have you done? Saved you? She whispered, dizzy, but completely certain. What have we done? Bound us together until death, mine or yours. His thumb traced her cheek. I am so sorry. But he smiled, feeling the golden thread of connection singing between them. Don't be. Cashin carried her effortlessly up the main staircase to a bedroom that seemed to materialize as they needed it. A 4-poster bed, thick velvet curtains, and a fire already crackling merrily in the hearth. Magic again. The manor was responding to its master's needs. He laid her down with a gentleness that utterly belied his predator's strength. Rest, the bond will stabilize, but you will remain severely weakened for hours. He took a step back, maintaining a deliberate, careful distance. I will fortify the windows. Stay. The word escaped her before caution could stop it. Please. Something complicated crossed his face, a war between deep longing and fierce reluctance. But he settled into a chair by the fire, close enough to act as a vigilant guard, yet far enough to maintain a semblance of propriety, as if propriety mattered now that her blood sang in his veins. Era could feel him through the bond, a constant warm presence at the edge of her consciousness, like a second overlaying heartbeat. She felt his profound relief at being fully nourished for the first time in months, his overwhelming guilt for having taken from her, and his fierce, protective determination that nothing would harm her while he drew breath. I can sense you, she stated, wonder in her voice. Your emotions, the bond works both ways. I feel you as well. His eyes reflected the firelight, an inhumanly beautiful sight. Your courage, your exhaustion, he paused. Your lack of regret. I don't regret it. You should. His voice turned rough. Blood oaths are sacred, utterly binding. You cannot dissolve them without both parties perishing. I have tethered you to a creature hunted by its own kind, Era. Your life expectancy has just shrunk dramatically, or yours just lengthened. She struggled to sit upright, and he was instantly there supporting her with those cool, careful hands. They won't risk killing me now, will they? Not without killing you too. Not when I am human. And what did you say? Ancient rites. A ghostly smile touched his mouth. Clever girl.
Yes.
Mortals under a blood oath to a vampire are shielded by the oldest laws. Older than houses, older than territories. To murder a bonded human is to violate the very foundation of our society. House Corvain will be forced to petition the council for a special dispensation. How long will that take? Weeks, perhaps months. He traced the bite mark on her throat with one finger. It was feather light. She realized it no longer hurt. Instead, his touch sent a shiver down her spine. Long enough for us to establish a strategy. Long enough for me to teach you how to survive the world you have just entered. What about you? Era caught his hand, holding it against her throat where her pulse beat steady and strong. His now in a way, you saved that village knowing the cost. You chose mercy over survival once. Will you regret choosing it again? Choosing me? Cashin went utterly still. Through the bond, she felt his emotions solidify into something bright and ferociously protective. I have carried many regrets across 2 centuries. Regret is my constant companion. But you, he leaned closer, his forehead nearly touching hers. You are the first wholly good thing I have done since I lost my mortality. How could I ever regret that? The fire crackled. The bond between them thmined like a newly plucked harp string. Era became acutely aware of his closeness. The way his thumb moved against her pulse, the ancient wisdom in his eyes blended with something youthful and vulnerable. Tell me about the village, she whispered. The one you saved. He drew back slightly but did not release her hand. A farming community, perhaps 300 souls. House Corvain was hunting there systematically. They considered it sport, terrorizing humans, feeding slowly, drawing it out. His jaw tightened. I had participated in such hunts before. I told myself it was simply nature, the proper order of things, wolves and sheep. What changed? A girl, perhaps 8 years old. She stepped between me and her mother, armed with nothing but a kitchen knife and the absolute conviction that she could protect her family. He closed his eyes. She reminded me of my sister. I had a sister once when I was human. Consumption took her at 9. Era felt the grief through the bond. Centuries old yet utterly fresh. So you stopped. I stopped. Then I slaughtered 6 of my former brethren when they tried to continue the hunt. Then I freed every human still alive, taught them how to ward against our kind, and walked back to House Corvain to accept my judgment. His eyes opened. I knew what it would cost. I had broken every law, violated every oath, but for the first time in 150 years I felt human again. That was worth any punishment. Did the villager survive? I don't know. 200 years is a vast expanse of time. Pain flickered across his face. I hope so. I hope that little girl matured, had children of her own, lived a full life protected by the wards I taught them. Era squeezed his hand. You gave them that chance. That matters, does it? When I have taken so many lives before, what does saving a few hundred matter in the cosmic balance? Everything, she insisted. It means you changed. It means you chose differently. He studied her for a long time, something like pure wonder in his expression. How did you acquire such wisdom at 16 years of watching people learning what truly matters? She offered a tired smile. Besides, I am not wise. I am terrified. I have bonded myself to a vampire. There are monsters outside who want me dead, and my entire grasp of reality shattered in 3 days. But she touched his cheek, felt him lean into the contact like a starving man offered sustenance. But I would rather face that terror with you than face my uncle's hands in the dark. At least this fear comes with choice. Cashin turned his head, pressing his lips to her palm. Not exactly a kiss, but something tender and profoundly grateful. You deserve better than having to choose between horrors. Maybe, but we work with the resources we have. She was fading now, exhaustion pulling at her like a retreating tide. Will you tell me more about your human life? Sleep first, we have time now, more than we should, perhaps. He eased her back against the pillows, drawing the coverlet over her. You'll keep watch through the bond, you mean? Even if you're downstairs, you'll feel if I'm in danger. Yes, though I prefer to remain close. He settled back into the chair, a marble sentinel. I have been alone for a very long time, Era. The bond is loud, overwhelming. Your presence fills spaces I had forgotten were empty. She felt the echo of that thought through their connection. The way her heartbeat anchored him, her warmth, the candle light in his darkness. This intimacy without permission should have frightened her. Instead, it felt inevitable, like the final piece of a puzzle clicking into place. Tell me one thing, she murmured, already drifting into sleep. Before your human name, Cashin was always my name, but your family name, he paused, and she felt reluctance through the bond. Thorn, he admitted, like yours. A coincidence perhaps, or fate's grim sense of humor. Thorn and Cash and Thorn, two forgotten things finding each other in a cemetery. She smiled into the pillow. I like it. We match. His laugh was soft, genuine. Sleep, little keeper. I will guard your dreams. She drifted off, feeling safer than she had in years, wrapped in thick blankets, and the strange comfort of knowing something would die before letting harm reach her. Through the bond, she felt Cashin's emotions shift and stabilize. Protectiveness, yes, guilt over binding her, but beneath that, growing stronger, were deep affection, admiration, and the tentative, terrifying beginnings of something far deeper. He sensed her awareness of it and did not withdraw. Instead, he sent a wave of reassurance through the bond. I won't rush you. We have time. Time, she thought drowsily. A vampire's gift and curse. She had traded her mortal freedom for a chance at forever with a creature who had forgotten how to be human. Perhaps they could teach each other. He's showing her strength. She reminding him of humanity. Or perhaps they would simply burn together. Two impossible beings defying the world that wanted them separate. Either way, she had made her choice. In the chair, Cashin watched her sleep, feeling her dreams brush against his consciousness through the bond. For the first time in 2 centuries, he was not alone in the darkness. For the first time since his human death, he had something beyond mere survival to fight for. Outside, House Corvain prowled the manor's perimeter, testing the wards, meticulously planning their next attack. Let them plan. He was Cash and Thorn, and he had toppled stronger enemies with less reason. He had saved a village. He could save one remarkable girl. He had to because she had saved him first. Dawn came eventually, forcing the attackers to retreat from the direct assault. Cashin remained motionless in his chair, unnecessary sleep banished by the vigilance of his predator instinct. He cataloged every sound, the manor settling, mice in the walls, Era's steady breathing, and beneath it all, the bond thorming like music. Her life force was tangled with his death, creating something neither holy, living nor dead, an impossibility, a miracle. He had spent 200 years paying for one moment of mercy. Perhaps this was his reward, another chance to choose correctly. Another person worth any cost. Through the windows, the sky lightened to gray. The siege continued, but within these walls, Cashin allowed himself something he had believed lost forever. Hope. Era woke to the soft light of the afternoon filtering through the curtains, and Cashin was gone from his chair. Panic spiked instantly before the bond reassured her. He was downstairs, close, alert. She could feel his focus like a drawn blade. His attention split between the manor's defenses and her waking consciousness. I'm fine. She projected through the bond, testing this new ability. His relief washed back, tinged with approval. Kitchen foods ready. She found him examining maps spread across the kitchen table. Old parchment detailing territories and holdings she didn't recognize. He looked up as she entered, and something in his expression softened. You look better. The bond is stabilizing. It was true. Despite yesterday's blood loss, she felt strong, stronger than she had ever been, actually. Her senses seemed sharper, colors more vivid. Is that normal for a bonded human? Yes, you are drawing on my vitality now, just as I draw on your humanity. For lack of a better word, he gestured to a plate of eggs, bread, and tea. You'll heal faster, age slower, become resistant to minor illness, he added quickly, seeing her alarm. The bond changes you, but not into a vampire. You will remain human mortal, just enhanced. Era sat across from him, examining the maps while she ate. What are you planning? Escape routes. House Corvain will receive council permission eventually. Blood bond or not, I am still guilty of murdering 6 vampire nobility. When that happens, we will need to vanish. His finger traced a path through territories marked in fading ink. There are places even the houses don't fully control. Neutral zones, human cities where vampire law holds less power. You'd leave, go into hiding. I've done it before, centuries ago. Before House Corvain found and turned me. He glanced up. I won't pretend it's a pleasant existence. Constantly moving, trusting no one, always watching for hunters, but it is survival. And survival with you is preferable to any alternative. Through the bond, she felt his profound sincerity, but also his lingering doubt. He wasn't certain they could escape. He wasn't certain she should have to live that way. Then what is the alternative? Cashin's jaw hardened. We make our stand here. We utilize the manor's defenses and hope we can eliminate enough of them that House Corvain determines I am not worth the expense. How many would we need to kill? All of them. His smile was grim. It brought 10 warriors plus herself. Under normal circumstances, those are impossible odds even for me at peak strength. But with the manor's warts, the element of surprise. And he hesitated in your assistance if you are willing. He pulled a small leather-bound journal from inside his coat and slid it across the table. I spent yesterday recalling something I had deliberately suppressed. You possess a distinct talent, not supernatural, not yet, but invaluable nonetheless. She opened the journal to find pages filled with meticulous observations, patterns, and weaknesses. What is this? House Corvain's tactical methodologies over the past 3 centuries. I served them long enough to understand their mindset, their fighting style, but my perspective is singular and it is tainted by my participation. You lean forward. You spent 7 years observing a graveyard, noticing details others overlooked, patterns in bird movements, shifts in weather, human traffic. You are observant, strategic in your own way. I need that now. Someone who can analyze what I know and identify what I'm missing. Era scanned the detailed pages, her mind already categorizing the intelligence. You are asking me to help coordinate a battle. I am asking you to be my partner, not a protected responsibility. His eyes met hers, intense and honest. You always have agency here. If you wish to conceal yourself, we will hide. If you wish to run, we will flee. But if you wish to fight, if you want these creatures to regret ever threatening you, I will teach you how. The proposal hung between them, heavy with gravity. She could remain passive, sheltered behind his supernatural power, or she could step forward into the monster's domain as an equal, armed with intellect instead of fangs. 7 years she had kept watch over a grave. 7 years of being invisible, inconsequential, forgotten. Teach me, she said. His slow smile was fierce and proud. I was hoping you would say that. They spent hours dissecting his notes. Era learned that vampires fought with blinding speed, but they adhered to predictable patterns. Isolde preferred left-handed maneuvers. Her second-in-command telegraphed attacks with a slight shoulder dip. She learned about vulnerability. Elder vampires became complacent, accustomed to effortless dominance. They underestimated mortals. They anticipated fear and submission. What if we gave them something else? Ara mused, studying the attack formations. They expect you to be on the defensive. What if you weren't? Cash tilted his head. Elaborate. She pointed to the map. They are surrounding the manor, but they are clustering near the main approaches. Instinct. They assume you will attempt to breach their weakest point. What if instead you attack their strongest, his oldest position? That is suicide. She is their most powerful fighter. For you alone, yes, but she does not know about me, not truly. She saw a frightened girl who offered herself as a sacrifice. She does not know I have spent the day assimilating vampire weaknesses. Ara's pulse quickened with the strategy solidifying in her mind. What if I create a diversion? Something that completely diverts their attention long enough for you to strike? Absolutely not. I will not use you as bait. Why not? I am already bait. The blood bond makes me their ultimate target. She met his alarmed gaze. I'm not suggesting anything suicidal, but if you can feel me through the bond, can't they sense me too? My human heartbeat, my life force. Yes, any vampire close enough would. He stopped understanding dawning. You want to utilize yourself as a lure. I want to exploit their nature against them. They are predators. They will focus on the prey, not the trap. She tapped the map. If I position myself in the east wing, they will sense me. Some will break formation to investigate. That is when you attack the others. Cashin stared at her for a long moment. Through the bond, she felt his internal conflict, pride in her tactical mind, sheer terror at the risk, and a grudging absolute admiration. You are remarkable and utterly insane in equal measure. I learned from the best. She smiled. Will it work? It might. If we are ingenious, if we are swift, if he reached across the table, caught her hand. If I can stand to utilize you in this fashion, you are not utilizing me. We are partners, remember? Eris squeezed his fingers. Besides, I have you as my fail-safe. The bond guarantees you will know if I am in genuine danger. You will come. I trust that I will. Even if it signifies my own destruction. The vow was absolute, unbreakable. I will incinerate this entire world before I let them take you. Outside, the dusk began its descent soon. The siege would resume. But for this moment, in the candlelight and the shared conspiracy, they were simply two people planning their survival. Two impossible things defying the world's expectations. Cashin lifted her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles with old world formality. Thank you for what? For seeing me as more than a monster. For treating me like a partner worthy of trust. His eyes glowed gold in the dim light. For waking me to something better than the darkness. Era felt the emotion through their bond, gratitude and deep affection, and the terrifying cutting edge of something deeper. Something neither was ready to name yet. We should prepare, she said softly. They will arrive soon. They will, and they will find us ready. He released her hand but held her gaze. Whatever transpires tonight, Era, you have already changed everything. Win or lose, you have given me reason to remember why I chose humanity once. Then let's ensure we win, she said. I didn't wake a vampire from his grave just to watch him die defending me. His laugh was sudden and bright. No, I suppose you didn't. They rose together, and somewhere in the distance, night fell like a descending blade. They slipped out of the manor at midnight, using a disused servant's passage that opened into the ancient cemetery. The strategy hinged on mobility. Remaining trapped inside meant eventual starvation or a breach of the siege. Better to command the battlefield and select the terrain. Stay close, Cashin murmured. Though the bond now ensured their closeness was metaphysical, regardless of physical space. If anything registers as wrong, I will signal through the bond. I know. Era adjusted the knife he had given her. A silver blade with a rowan handle, ancient and lethal. You have told me 6 times. I will tell you 60 more if it guarantees your safety. They moved between the headstones, shadows among shadows. Cashin had spent the last hours teaching her his predator's stealth. Weight on the balls of her feet, controlled breathing, awareness expanded to absorb every sound and movement. She would never equal his supernatural grace, but she could approximate it. Through the bond, she felt his constant consuming vigilance, his attention split between guarding her and tracking the enemy. House Corvain was close. She could sense them even without vampire faculties, a pressure in the air like an impending electrical storm. There, Cashin pointed to a cluster of tombs. The Blackwood Mausoleum. Stone walls, single entrance, highly defensible. You position yourself there. I will engage them in the open. And if they ignore you, they won't. Your heartbeat beckons to them like a chime. His voice roughened. The hunger is ceaseless, Era ceaseless. It requires tremendous willpower to resist, particularly for younger vampires. They will sense you, and raw instinct will compel them closer. She had become bait in truth. The thought should have terrified her more than it did. Perhaps the bond shared some of Cashin's predatory calm, His battle focus crystallizing fear into useful alertness, they reached the mausoleum. Cashin checked the interior. Empty. Secure, then turned to her, cupping her face in both hands. Listen, when I initiate the attack, the fighting will be lightning fast and brutal. Do not look away regardless of what you witness. I need to know you are safe, and I cannot afford to compartmentalize my focus to spare your sensibilities. I understand, do you? His thumb stroked her cheek. I'm going to kill them violently. I will be the monster they claim I am. If that changes how I perceive you, it won't. She covered his hands with hers. I know what you are. I have always known you are a predator who chose mercy. That is the only thing that matters. Relief and something painfully vulnerable flooded through the bond. He leaned forward, pressing his forehead to hers. After this, if we survive, we will discuss what comes next. Promise, I promise. He withdrew, and coldness instantly replaced his warmth. Then he was gone, a shadow dissolving into the deeper shadows, leaving her alone in the mausoleum's entrance. Era regulated her breathing, letting her heartbeat find its steady rhythm. She could feel Cashin through the bond, moving away, circling, positioning himself. She felt his transformation as battle focus consumed him, the predator rising to dominance, and she could feel them coming. House Corvain, drawn by the unfolding game, excited by the scent of the hunt. Now Cashin sent through the bond. Era stepped fully into the mausoleum's doorway. Deliberately visible, she let her heartbeat ring clear and strong. Let them sense the human girl alone, unprotected, vulnerable. The response was immediate. 3 figures detached from the darkness, moving towards her with unnatural speed. Younger ones, as Cashin had correctly guessed, less disciplined, more susceptible to the hunger. Their eyes glowed red in the night, teeth already exposed, and snarls. Terror spiked through her. Era forced herself still, gripping the silver knife tightly. Not yet. Not until Cashin's signal. Chaos erupted in the cemetery's heart. Cashin struck like a thunderbolt, hitting the main group while their focus was still divided. Era heard screams inhuman agonized as he tore through their lines. She felt through the bond his cold, surgical efficiency. The way centuries of warfare compressed into a perfect, lethal motion. The 3 vampires approaching her hesitated, torn between their driving hunger and the need to assist their companions. It was the opening she had planned for. Era ducked inside the mausoleum's interior, placing stone between herself and them. One followed, the youngest, most reckless. He entered in a blur of speed, claws extended, and Cashin was suddenly there, appearing from nowhere, intercepting the vampire mid-leap. The crunch of breaking bones echoed off the stone walls. The vampire screamed once before Cashin's hand found its heart and pulled. Black blood sprayed. The attacker crumbled to ash. Cash dropped the heart and turned to face the other 2 still outside. They fled, survival instinct overriding training. He let them go, returning instantly to Era. Are you hurt? No. She realized she was shaking not from fear, but from the raw adrenaline rush from witnessing death delivered so efficiently. I'm fine. What exactly is the alternative? Cashin's jaw tensed. We make a final stand here. We use the manor's defenses and hope we can eliminate enough of their force that Corv decides I am not worth the immense loss. How many would we need to kill all of them? His smile was grim. Isolde brought 10 warriors plus herself. Those are normally impossible odds even for me at peak strength. But with the manor's wards the element of surprise, and he hesitated. And your collaboration if you consent. He pulled a small leather-bound notebook from his coat and slid it across the table. I spent yesterday recalling knowledge I had suppressed. You possess a unique talent, not yet supernatural, but highly valuable nonetheless. She opened the notebook to pages of neat script, observations, recurring patterns, vulnerabilities. What is this? House Corvain's tactical history over the last 3 centuries. I served them long enough to internalize their mindset, their fighting approach. But I possess only one perspective, and it is colored by my own participation. You lean forward. You spent 7 years observing a graveyard, noticing details others missed, patterns in bird flight, minute weather shifts, human traffic. You are innately observant, strategic in your own way. I need that now. Someone who can examine what I know and perceive what I am failing to see. Era scanned the pages, her mind already organizing the data. You are asking me to help orchestrate a battle. I am asking you to be my partner, not a mere passenger. His eyes met hers, fierce and sincere. You retain your agency here always. If you wish to hide, we will conceal ourselves. If you wish to flee, we will escape. But if you wish to fight, if you want these creatures to regret ever threatening you, I will educate you on how. The offer hung between them, thick with consequence. She could remain passive, sheltered by his power, or she could step into the monster's realm as an equal, armed with intelligence instead of primal strength. 7 years she had kept vigil at a tomb. 7 years of being unseen, unnecessary, ignored. Teach me she consented. His slow smile was ferocious and proud. I was hoping that would be your response. They spent the following hours immersed in his archives. Ira learned that vampires, for all their speed, adhered to tactical blueprints. Isolde favored attacks from the left flank. Her second-in-command telegraphed his maneuvers with a minor shoulder dip. Crucially, she learned about vulnerability. Elder vampires often grew overconfident, assuming unchallenged dominance. They misjudged mortals. They expected immediate terror and surrender. What if we present them with the unexpected? Era mused, studying the coordinated attack patterns. They are anticipating you to defend. What if you didn't? Cash tilted his head. Elaborate. She tapped the map. They have encircled the manor, but they are primarily clustered near the main entries. It's pure instinct. They assume you will try to break through their weakest point. What if instead you attack their strongest as oldest position? That is reckless self-destruction for you alone. Yes, but she is not fully aware of me. She only saw a frightened girl who offered herself. She does not know I have spent the day absorbing vampire weaknesses. Ira's heart raced with the forming strategy. What if I create a complete diversion, something that completely monopolizes their attention long enough for you to strike? Absolutely forbidden. I will not use you as a lure. Why not? I am already the lure. The blood bond makes me their ultimate objective. She met his alarmed gaze. I'm not proposing anything suicidal. But if you can sense me through the bond, can't they sense me too? My human heartbeat, my sheer life force. Yes, any nearby vampire would. He stopped, dawning comprehension in his eyes. You intend to exploit yourself as the target. I intend to use their fundamental nature against them. They are predators. They will fixate on the prey, not the trap. She tapped the map. If I position myself in the east wing, they will sense me. A few will abandon their formation to investigate. That is when you attack the others. Cashin stared at her, and through the bond, she felt his inner turmoil. Cried in her audacity, terror at the risk, and a growing desperate conviction. You are both extraordinary and completely mad. I learned from a master. She smiled. Will it succeed? It might. If we are quick, if we are precise, if he reached across the table and took her hand, if I can endure the strain of using you like this. You are not using me. We are partners, remember. Ira squeezed his fingers. Besides, I have you as my safety net. The bond guarantees you will know if I am in true peril. You will come. I trust that I will, even if it ensures my own demise. The vow was absolute, unbreakable. I will scorch this earth before I let them claim you. Outside, dusk was drawing in. The siege was about to recommence. But in this shared moment of candlelight and conspiracy, they were simply two people planning for survival, two impossible beings defying the world's expectations. Cashin lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles with a gesture of ancient reverence. Thank you for what? For perceiving me as more than a monster. For treating me like a partner worthy of profound trust. His eyes glowed gold in the dim light. For waking me to something better than mere darkness. Era felt the emotion, gratitude, affection, and the terrifying onset of something deeper. We should make preparations, she whispered. They will arrive soon. They will, and they will discover us prepared. He released her hand but held her gaze. Whatever the outcome tonight, Era, you have fundamentally altered everything. Win or lose, you have given me the reason to remember why I chose humanity long ago. Then let's guarantee we win, she said. I did not rouse a vampire from his grave just to witness him die protecting me. His laugh was sudden and sharp. "No, I suppose you didn't." They rose together, and in the distance night fell like a sharpened blade. They hunted through the cemetery for hours, a deadly precise dance of strike and retreat. Cashin fought with surgical efficacy, each kill swift and final. Era remained close, covering his back, learning to interpret the battle through the supernatural senses faintly shared by their bond. As dawn approached, only Isolde and 2 remaining warriors were left. They had retreated to the old chapel, regrouping in clear desperation. Cashin pulled Era behind a large stone monument, his breathing heavy, an outward sign of strain despite his lack of air. This is where the danger peaks. Isolde will not 8 seconds flee. She is too old, too arrogant. She will fight to the final death. Can you defeat her? Perhaps. She is physically 15 seconds stronger, but I am infinitely more motivated. He looked at her, and in his eyes she saw the convergence of the ferocious predator and the caring man. "At 24 seconds if I fall, you must not." "If I do," he continued firmly, "the bond will shatter. You will be free, fully human again." 32 seconds run. "Do not look back. Do not try to avenge me." Cashin kissed her, sudden and desperate, his cool mouth against hers. 39 seconds tasting of ash, blood, and 2 centuries of profound solitude. The bond flared brilliantly, their emotions intertwining. His fear for her 48-second stare of losing him, and those fragile growing feelings neither had dared to acknowledge. He pulled back, resting his forehead against hers. "I needed to do 57 seconds that once before." "Before what?" "Before you see exactly the price of immortality." He took her hand, pressing it over his chest where there was no heartbeat. 4 parts in, and already Era and Cashin's world has cracked wide open. What started as one grieving girl's private ritual at a nameless grave became something far stranger. A 2 centuries-old vampire, entombed alive as punishment for the one act of mercy he could never regret, waking because someone finally chose to remember him. In part 1, a chance meeting in the dark turned into an invitation into a warded, hidden manor. Part 2 peeled back Cashin's past. A soldier turned killer turned reluctant savior, punished not for cruelty, but for compassion as House Corvain's hunters closed in on the graves where it all began. Part 3 saw that hunting party breach the wards themselves, forcing a desperate, world-changing blood bond between Era and Cashin in the middle of a battle neither expected to survive. And in Part 4, we watched that bond settle, fragile, intimate, and dangerous, as 2 impossible beings began to realize that surviving each other might mean far more than either had bargained for. But the siege isn't over. House Corvain hasn't given up. Cashin's wounds run deeper than anyone yet realizes, and Era's done being the girl who simply waits in the dark. From here, the story turns from survival to strategy, and then, before long, to war. What Era chooses to become next will change both of their fates forever. Keep reading. The parts ahead are where everything starts to burn. I need to tell you something while I still can. Through the bond, she felt his anguish crystallize. "Cashin, whatever it is, I am dying." The words were flat, definitive. The burial inflicted damage I did not fully comprehend. 200 years without feeding, without movement. It shattered something foundational. I am sustained now by the blood bond, by your life force, but it is a temporary measure. Eventually, months or years from now, I will fade regardless. Era's world tilted. You're dying, but you fed. You're strong. I am stronger, yes, but I am not healing. The damage is too extensive, too old. His hand tightened on hers. That is why I could not allow myself to care before. Why I attempted to distance myself. Because caring means leaving, and I have already left too many people behind. Tears welled in her eyes. Why are you telling me this now? Because you deserve the unvarnished truth before you make your final choice. He cupped her face, his thumbs catching her tears. After tonight, if we survive, House Corvain will petition the council. They will authorize my execution, and yours as my accomplice. We will be hunted relentlessly everywhere we go. You swallowed hard. But there is one option they cannot fight, one choice that puts you beyond their reach. Understanding dawned. Terrible and inevitable. You want to turn me, make me a vampire. I detest the idea. I abhor it. His voice cracked, but it would save you. Bonded vampires share house status. If I turned you, you would become Corv's problem to judge, not the council's. Ancient law, they would have to recognize you as nobility, subject to internal politics, rather than immediate execution. And would it save you too? No, my sentence remains unchanged. But you would survive, you would live. His eyes blazed with desperate hope. Centuries. You could have centuries, you're so young. You have barely experienced life at all. Without you, she saw the full scope of his sacrifice. He was offering her immortality knowing he would be absent for most of it. Yes, the admission cost him dearly. Better that than watching you die for my mistakes. Through the bond, she felt his profound anguish, the thought of losing her wearing with the terror of condemning her to his cursed existence. He would sacrifice anything to ensure her safety, even his own desperate wish for companionship in his remaining time. Era pulled his hands from her face, holding them between hers. What do you want, Cashin? Not what saves me. What do you want? He closed his eyes, and through the bond, she felt his shield shatter, revealing the raw longing beneath. The dream he had barely allowed himself to conceive. I want you with me for whatever time I have left. I want to teach you this world, show you its beauty and its horrors. I want to watch you become powerful, eternal, magnificent. His voice dropped to a whisper. I want to not be alone when I finally fade. I want someone who chose this, who chose me, to remember me kindly when I am gone, then turn me. His eyes flew open. Era, you don't comprehend what your I comprehend perfectly. She felt the certainty settle deep in her bones. You gave me choice when no one else did. You protected me, partnered with me, saw me as worth saving. You are dying because 200 years in darkness broke you, and yet you still think more about my welfare than your own. She squeezed his hands. Turn me cashing. Give me forever, however much of it you have left. I would rather have years with you than centuries alone. You are so young. You might regret this. I am 16 years old. I have survived my mother's death, my uncle's cruelty, poverty, loss, and loneliness. I am done being helpless. She pulled him closer. Make me strong. Make me yours. Give me the power to stand beside you as an equal, not a burden. Through the bond, she felt his resistance crumble under the weight of desperation and hope. It will be painful, the turning. It is 3 days of agony as you die and resurrect. I cannot shield you from that. I do not require shielding. I require partnership. You will have to feed to kill eventually to survive, then teach me to do it with mercy as you learned. I am dying, Era. This is not a fairy tale. I cannot promise happy endings. No one can. But you can promise to face whatever comes together. She leaned up and kissed him gently. That is sufficient. He made a sound between a laugh and a sob, pulling her tight against him. You are extraordinary. I am practical. There is a difference. She drew back resolute. First we finish this, we survive tonight. Then you turn me and we face whatever comes next. Together. Together for however long we have. Dawn broke over the cemetery, a mix of pink and gold. The chapel doors swung open and Isolde emerged with her remaining 2 warriors. She saw them standing together, vampire and human, bound and determined, and smiled coldly. How touching. Romeo and Juliet Vampire Edition still ends in tragedy, though. Cashin stepped forward, placing himself between Isolde and Era. This ends tonight, Isolde, one way or another, agreed. She drew a blade. Old steel blood darkened. Let's conclude this. They charged. The battle was chaos rendered elegant. Cashin met Isolde in a clash of supernatural speed, their forms blurring, separating, then meeting again in fierce eruptions of violence. The 2 remaining Corvain warriors circled, searching for an opening. Era held her position, her silver knife ready, watching through the bond as Cashin's awareness split between the combatants. She saw the trap forming before he did. Isa was deliberately driving him back towards her warriors, coordinating their strikes. Left side behind you, she projected urgently. Cashin pivoted instantly, caught the attacking vampire's throat, and twisted. The creature's neck snapped with a sound like splintering branches, but the brief distraction cost him. His oldest ancient blade found its mark, sliding deep into his ribs. Black blood welled instantly. Through the bond, Era felt his pain spike, felt something internal tear. not the wound itself, but something deeper, more foundational. The damage he had mentioned, the slow dissolution accelerating rapidly. Cashin, she moved without conscious thought, driven purely by primal instinct. The last remaining warrior saw her charging and grinned with feral delight. Easy prey. He lunged, and Cashin was there, appearing instantly between them, despite the wound, despite the blood pouring down his side. There was no semblance of mercy in his movements now, only absolute ruthless efficiency. Bones snapped, black blood misted the air. The warrior fell apart in pieces. Isolde stared at the carnage, then fixed her gaze on Cashin, who was swaying precariously, held upright by sheer, desperate willpower. "You are dying," Isolde hissed. "I can smell it. Death stalks you like a shadow. Then I shall take you with me." Cashin's voice remained steady. "You entombed me once, Isolde. You forgot that the grave only served to harden my resolve. No, it shattered you." She countered, circling her blade ready. "You operate on borrowed time and stolen life. The instant that girl's blood runs thin, you will crumble perhaps, but I will endure long enough." They clashed again, and this time Era saw the truth clearly. Cashin was slower, his movements fractionally impaired. The severe wound was not regenerating. His supernatural healing was failing as the profound internal damage compounded itself. He was dying right now before her very eyes. No, the word blazed through the bond through her entire being. She had not come this far, sacrificed this much to witness his defeat. She had pledged partnership, promised forever, vowed to face whatever came together. It was time to fulfill that vow. Era sprinted forward, not retreating from the danger, but directly towards it. Cashin sensed her intention and tried to push her away through the bond, but she was committed. She drew her knife, the silver blade catching the cold dawn light, and threw herself between Cashin and Isolde's final lethal strike. The blade meant for Cashin's heart instead caught her shoulder. Agony exploded, white-hot and consuming. Yet she had purchased him a single precious heartbeat, a moment of opportunity. Cashin seized it, his hand shot out, grasping his oldest throat, squeezing. The elder clawed him with impossible strength. But he was superior now, fueled by desperation, fury, and the sight of Era's human blood. His other hand snared her wrist, twisting until bones ground together. "You hurt her," he said, his voice terrifyingly soft. "You dreadfully touched what is mine. She is human, mortal, irrelevant. She is everything." He tore his oldest head from her shoulders in one ferocious motion. The vampire's body stood suspended for a moment in impossible stillness, then crumbled to ash, her expression frozen in disbelief, as though even in final death she could not fathom that a broken, dying vampire had bested her. The cemetery fell silent. Cashin dropped to his knees beside Era, his hands frantically checking her wound. "Stupid, reckless girl, what were you thinking? That you needed help?" She gasped. Blood soaked her dress. Human blood still mortal. "Did we win? We won." He lifted her gently, cradling her against his chest. "House Corvain is broken. They will require decades to recover from losing Isolde and 9 warriors. But you are severely injured." The wound was serious. Not immediately fatal, but dangerous. She needed medical intervention that his faltering vampire healing could not provide. "Turn me," she whispered. "Now while I'm bleeding it will be easier, won't Era? We promised together, remember?" She smiled, despite the blinding pain. "Keep your promise, Cashin." He looked at her, this impossible girl who had woken him from oblivion and chosen his broken immortality over mortal safety. He saw the unyielding resolve in her eyes, the complete absence of fear. She knew the price. She asked anyway. "It will hurt," he warned one last time. "I know you will be bound to blood, to the darkness. You will outlive everyone you've ever known. I have already lost everyone except you." His face crumpled. "I don't deserve you. Lucky for you, I'm choosing you anyway." She reached up, touching his cheek. "Do it. Give me forever, however long that may be." Cashin drew her closer, positioning her throat against his mouth. "I love you, Era. I should have said it sooner. I have loved you since you placed that first meal at my forgotten grave and remembered what mercy felt like." "I love you, too," she breathed. "Now stop stalling and bite me." His laugh was wet with unshaped tears. Then his teeth found her throat and the world went white. The turning was fire and ice, death and rebirth compressed into endless moments. Era felt her human life draining away, felt Cashin replacing it with something older, darker, stronger. Her heart stopped beating. Her lungs ceased breathing. Her mortality burned away like morning mist. And then silence, perfect crystalline silence, the absence of heartbeat, of breath, of all the small fragilities that define human existence. She opened her eyes, new eyes, vampire eyes, and saw the world rendered in impossible clarity. Every color was sharper, every shadow deeper, every sound distinct. She could hear mice burrowing in the earth, smell old blood on the wind, and feel power coiling in her limbs like compressed lightning. Era Cashin's voice was uncertain, hopeful. "Are you still you?" She turned in his arms, saw him with her new senses, saw the beauty and the damage, the strength and the slow dissolution, saw the man who had chosen her, saved her, loved her enough to damn her. "I'm still me," she said, marveling at how her voice resonated now. "Just better," he exhaled in profound relief, gathering her close. "Welcome to immortality, little keeper." "However long it lasts, however long," she agreed and kissed him as dawn broke fully over the cemetery, painting everything gold. Two vampires in love, one dying, one newborn, both choosing together over anything the world might offer separately. It was enough. 3 months later, Era stood in the cemetery at midnight, looking down at two graves. One was old, weathered, finally bearing a proper name. Cashin Thorn, Savior remembered. The other was new, simple, marked only with a single thorn, the girl who woke him. Morbid, don't you think? Cashin's voice came from behind her, amused despite everything. Marking your own grave. Practical, she turned, taking in his appearance. You looked better today. The borrowed life force from her turning had bought them time. Not much, perhaps only months more, but time nonetheless. Someone should remember the girl I was, the human who started all this. I remember her. He joined her at the graves, wrapping a possessive arm around her waist. Every detail, every act of kindness. They stood in comfortable silence. Two impossible beings in a world that had tried to destroy them. The cemetery was theirs now. Cashin had purchased it, ensuring no one would disturb the dead they both honored. Any word from the council? Era asked, though she could feel the answer through their bond. Stronger now that they were both vampire. Official pardon arrived yesterday. Your turning complicated things beautifully. His smile was grim. You are now vampire nobility, bonded mate to a Corvain champion, even a disgraced one. They cannot execute you without causing political chaos. And they won't risk executing me while you live, since bonded mates sometimes follow each other into death. You have made me too expensive to kill. Good. She leaned into him. How much time do we have? He was quiet for a moment, measuring his slow deterioration against the strength gained from her turning. A year, perhaps 2 if we are lucky. The damage is still spreading, just slower now. Then we'll make them count. She turned in his arms, meeting his golden eyes with her own, now a matching vampire gold. Show me everything. Teach me everything. Let me know you completely before. Before, he agreed softly, saving her from finishing the brutal truth. Well, travel. I will show you the world I've seen across centuries. We'll hunt together, feed together, exist together, and when my time comes, I'll remember you. Her voice strengthened. I'll keep your grave tended. I'll make sure the world knows you chose mercy over monstrosity, even when it cost you everything. Cashin's thumb traced her cheek. You've given me something I never expected. Era, not just more time, but better time. Purpose beyond survival, love beyond loneliness. A 16 minutes you gave me the same. She rose on her toes, kissing him gently. A life beyond fear, choice beyond captivity. Forever, even if it's shorter than most forevers. They kissed deeper, vampire to vampire, equal in their dangerous immortality and their profound partnership. Where should we go first? Cashin smiled, genuine, warm, human despite his fang nature. I'm thinking Paris. You'll love Paris. Anywhere, everywhere. Era took his hand, the bond between them singing with affection and certainty. As long as we're together. 3 years later, Cashin grew too weak to rise from bed. Era stayed beside him, holding his hand as the slow dissolution finally claimed him. There was no pain, a final mercy after so much suffering. just a gradual fading like mist dissolving in sunlight. "I'm not afraid," he murmured, his voice barely audible. "You'll remember me?" "That's enough always," Era promised, the tears she could no longer physically cry burning in her chest. "Forever, Cashin. I'll make sure you're never forgotten again." He smiled, squeezed her hand one last time, and let go. Era buried him in the cemetery beside her human grave. She marked his stone with the truth. He chose mercy. He chose love. He is remembered. Decades passed. Then centuries. Arathorn walked through the world. Cashin had shown her, learning, growing, becoming the extraordinary creature he had always known she could be. She hunted with mercy, fed with consent, and mourned those she couldn't save. But every year, on the anniversary of his final death, she returned to the cemetery. She left offerings still, not food, but flowers, memories. Love that time couldn't diminish. She founded a house of her own, House Thorn, dedicated to protecting mortals from vampire predation, to teaching mercy to immortals who had forgotten their humanity. She taught them what Cashin had taught her, that monsters were made by choice, not nature, that mercy was stronger than hunger, that true love could wake even the dead to something better. And on quiet nights, Era would sit beside two graves and tell them stories. Stories of the centuries she had lived, the lives she had saved, the world she had changed. All because a lonely girl had once remembered a forgotten name, and a broken vampire had chosen her over his own darkness. "You were right," she would whisper to the stone bearing his name. Together was better, however long it lasted. Cashing together was always better. The wind would sigh through the headstones, carrying whispers that might have been agreement. And in the space between heartbeats, in that eternal moment where life and death touched, Era felt something warm and gentle brush against her consciousness. "I'm still here." The silence seemed to convey, "I'm remembered. That is enough." She would smile then. This ancient vampire who had begun as a frightened girl with bread, apples, and unyielding kindness. She would place fresh flowers on both graves, hers and his, and walk back to the manor where their improbable story had unfolded. The manor still stood warded and waiting, a monument to an impossible love. A reminder that even monsters could choose mercy, that even the forgotten could be remembered, and that sometimes the girl who fed kindness to a grave could wake something beautiful from the darkness. Behind her, moonlight painted the cemetery silver and gold, and two headstones stood side by side, marking the human who remembered, and the vampire who taught her that forever, however long it lasted, was always worth choosing when chosen together. Here lies a man who saved many, remembered by one. Here lies the girl who woke him. Here lies love that death couldn't diminish. Here lies proof that some things are worth any cost. The Oxford Archives' Rire of Dust and Desperate Hope, two things Era had mastered navigating during her 3 centuries of immortal life. She stood before a manuscript so ancient the vellum edges were crumbling. Her vampire vision easily read the faded Latin in the dim light where human scholars would need lamps and magnification. Her heart, which no longer beat, but still somehow acted, stuttered at the words. For 300 years she had searched, 300 years since Cashin had faded in her arms, his final smile peaceful, his last word a whisper of her name. 300 years of walking an emptier world. Despite the thriving House Thorn she had built, the vampire she had saved, and the human she had protected, her legacy was secure. But at night, in the manor that still bore his wards, she was alone with memories that sharpened instead of dulled with time. "Impossible," she murmured, her fingers hovering over the text. Vampire resurrection had never been documented, but the manuscript was unequivocally authentic. She could feel the age of the magic woven into its pages. It had been written by a vampire named Morgan the Merciful in 1347, immediately following the Black Death. Morgan had lost her human lover to the plague, turned him in desperation, only to watch him succumb to the same supernatural deterioration that had claimed Cashin. The slow fading that occurred when vampires were created from the dying rather than the healthy. Era's breath unnecessary but habitual hitched. Morgan hadn't accepted death either. The spell required 3 elements. 1, an anchor, something belonging to the deceased, thoroughly infused with their essence. Era's hand went to the silver ring she wore on a chain around her neck, Cashin's ring which she had never removed in 3 centuries. 2. A place of power where the veil between life and death grew thin. She knew precisely where. The cemetery where their story had begun, where his grave rested beside the empty one marking her human death. 3. A sacrifice. Her eyes tracked down the page, translating the archaic Latin with a mixture of growing dread and desperate excitement. The blood of the one who loved them most given willingly unto death. For love is the only magic stronger than death itself, and only love can call the dead back from darkness. Her final death, the true death that came to stake beheaded or burned vampires, the death from which there was no return. Era sat back, her mind spinning. The manuscript continued with Morgan's marginalia written in a shaky hand. I succeeded. He woke, but I did not survive to see his eyes open. Let this stand as record. Resurrection magic works. The dead can return. The price is absolute, but for love, for true love, what price is too high? Nothing. Era whispered to the empty archive. No price is too high. She had lived 300 years. She had built an empire of mercy, saved countless lives, and fundamentally changed vampire culture. House Thorn would continue without her. She had trained successors and established systems. But she had never stopped being the lonely girl who brought food to a forgotten grave. She had never stopped missing him. Era carefully photographed every page, then replaced the manuscript exactly where she'd found it. She glamored the security guard one final time and walked out into the London night. Above her, stars wheeled in patterns Cashin had once taught her to read. Now she would carry him back to life or die trying. She sent 3 messages via her phone. A necessary concession to modernity. 1 to Victoria, her second in command, taking personal leave. Indefinite, you have full authority. Trust your training. 2 to Marcus the scholar. Found it. Don't try to stop me. This is my choice. 3 to Elena, her closest friend. Remember me as someone who loved well. That's all I ever wanted. She turned off the phone, dropped it in a rubbish bin, and started walking. By tomorrow night, she'd be home to the small English cemetery where everything had begun and where, if magic and love held true, everything would begin again. She would spend whatever time remained preparing to give her own immortality away for him. Always for him. The cemetery looked exactly as Era remembered, and yet nothing like it at all. 300 years had passed, but blood magic kept the manor standing, the graves pristine, the whole dell wrapped in wards that made humans unconsciously avoid this section. She stood before them in the November darkness, come full circle to where their story had started. Cashinthorn, savior, remembered. Erathorn, the girl who woke him morbid, marking her own grave while she still walked, but prophetic perhaps. If the spell worked, that grave would finally hold the truth. If it failed, she would die knowing she had tried everything. Hello, love, she whispered, kneeling between the 2 headstones. I'm back, and I'm not leaving without you this time. It was November again, the month they had met, the month she had fled her uncle toward a forgotten grave, the month that had changed everything. Era sat down her satchel and began unpacking the photographs, the beeswax candles, black, red, and white, a silver ceremonial knife, chalk, and the herbs she had gathered from their travels. Lavender from Provence, nightshade from Romania, wolfsbane from the Black Forest. Each ingredient carried a memory. She worked methodically, drawing the circle around both graves, arranging candles and herbs according to the manuscript. The magic felt immeasurably old as she worked, older than vampire magic itself. Blood magic, the only magic that could resurrect the truly dead. You tell me this is foolish, Era said, continuing her one-sided conversation with the grave. You'd say I've built something important, that House Thorn needs me, that I shouldn't risk everything for a chance that might not work. She paused. But you'd also understand because you did the same for me, didn't you? Chose me over your own safety. Era pulled Cashin's silver ring from around her neck. 300 years, and it still carried the faint trace of his essence. Love apparently was its own preservation spell. She placed the ring precisely on the center of Cashin's grave. So now it's my turn to choose you. My turn to risk everything. My turn to save you. The wind picked up. The candles flickered but held firm. Era felt the magic responding, recognizing her intent, preparing for the working. The veil between life and death was always thinnest in graveyards, thinner still in places where love had left its mark. This place was soaked in love. The spell had to work. Era checked the vintage timepiece Cashin had given her. 11:45 to midnight. Time to prepare the final component, the sacrifice. She sat cross-legged at the circle's edge, pulling out the silver knife. Wicked sharp spell to actually harm vampire flesh. The knife was the result of difficult magic requiring master craftsmanship. She had commissioned it specifically for this purpose and carried it for weeks, fortifying her resolve. "I'm not afraid," she declared to the night, to the graves, and to Cash in sleeping spirit if he could hear her. "You taught me that how to face fear and choose anyway. How to let love matter more than safety." Her hands remained steady as she positioned the knife across her lap. 300 years of life, and all of it had culminated here. Back to the beginning, back to the forgotten grave, and the choice that mattered most. The manor loomed behind her, dark yet familiar. She had spent her last day there, walking through rooms saturated with memories. The library where Cashin had taught her history, the kitchen where she learned she could still enjoy wine, the bedroom where he had held her through her transition. All of it would pass to House Thorn. Victoria would know how to proceed. The wards would protect the cemetery and these graves, safeguarding the love story they represented. Era breathed unnecessarily, centering her focus. The spell demanded complete concentration, perfect articulation, and absolute conviction. She possessed all three. Midnight struck in the distant church tower, the witching hour, the hour when magic worked best. Era picked up the knife, held it over her left wrist, and began to chant in Latin older than Rome, words of power, sacrifice, and love. Behind her, the air shifted, waiting. The first cut burned worse than anticipated. Vampire flesh resisted damage, but the spelled silver knife parted her skin like paper. Her blood, dark and thick with 3 centuries of power, welled up immediately. Era allowed it to drip onto Cashin's grave, onto the earth, and onto his ring. Each drop sizzled slightly. Magic recognizing magic, sacrifice fueling power. She continued the chant, the ancient Latin rolling off her tongue with careful pronunciation. Igathorn immortalis voluntuin miovama meme pruco pluscamortem cash and thorn daremo ex tenebris. I thorn immortal by will and love. Offer my blood, my life, my soul for the one I love more than I fear death. Cash and thorn, I call you back from darkness. The blood flowed faster now. Her vampire healing struggled against the silver-laced blade. She cut deeper, feeling her strength begin to ebbe. The spell required everything. Morgan had been clear. Death was the price willingly given for love. Wind held unnaturally through the cemetery, summoned by the building magic. The candles blazed brighter, their flames shifting to impossible colors, violet, silver, deep crimson. The circle glowed incandescently. Mort mea vedamo amor amore mio tenebra vinco. With my death, I redeem his life. With my love, I conquered darkness. Her vision blurred blood. Loss combined with the silver poisoning from the blade meant her end without scattering like leaves. But the magic was working. She could feel the veil between her fear and worse. Running gossamer and heard her call a presence she would recognize worlds. Prof death had never shed on earth. To her call a presence. President FK, I'm coming. She whispered, still feeding the spell her life one drop at a time. Hold on, I'm coming. The ring on the grave's center began to glow. Silver turning to gold, then to a blinding white light. Pure power, pure love made visible. The earth trembled. Era spoke the final sealing words, mi impru morsa vita, sic volulo sic jubio, sic fiat, mine for yours, my death your life. So I will, so I command. So let it be done. The knife slipped from nerveless fingers. She slumped forward, her blood now soaking the earth, feeding centuries of accumulated power into the ground. Darkness crowded her vision, the strange final darkness that comes to vampires in their true death. No pain, just a gradual fading. She had done it. The spell was complete, worth it, she thought as consciousness dimmed. Whatever happens, it was worth it. Her eyes closed, her body stilled. and Arathorn died as she had lived, choosing love over fear, choosing him over everything else. The magic exploded. Light blasted outward, shattering the night. The earth over Cashin's grave cracked and split. The headstone fell backward, and from the opening, a pale, unmarked living hand emerged. Then Cashin Thorn pulled himself from his own grave, gasping, choking on air he didn't need. After 3 centuries of death, his eyes, still golden, still inhuman, flew open. His body, no longer fading, no longer broken, surged with power. He saw the circle, the impossible candles, his ring blazing, and saw the blood soaking the earth, her blood, too much blood. He saw Era collapsed at the circle's edge, pale, still gone. No! The word tore from his throat, rusty but strong.
No, no, no.
Cashin lunged, catching her before she could fall completely. Her skin was cold, her body limp. The knife lay beside her. The wound on her wrist gaped, her healing utterly overwhelmed. Era, no, you can't. You didn't. Not for me, never for me. But she had. He could feel the spell's residue. Read the irrevocable sacrifice she had made. She died to bring him back. You beautiful, stupid, stubborn fool. Cashin choked, gathering her closer. I was at peace. I was ready. You didn't have to. Her body remained silent, still gone. 300 years she had lived without him, built an empire of mercy, and then thrown it all away. The universe had accepted the trade without negotiation. His life for her death. Cashin Thorn, alive after 300 years, held the woman who had loved him enough to wake him twice, and wept tears he thought he'd forgotten how to cry. Cashin didn't know how long he sat there, cradling Era's body, lost in a grief so profound it threatened to kill him again. The magic still crackled in the air, incomplete somehow, waiting. He looked down at Era's face, peaceful in death, beautiful even now. She looked older than he remembered, not physically, but a weight of centuries lived was etched into her features. She had grown without him, become extraordinary, and then returned to die for him. Why? He whispered. You had everything. You changed the world, love. You didn't need me anymore. But he knew the answer. He had known the moment he woke. She was still at her core, the girl who couldn't bear to let someone go unremembered. She had remembered him so hard she died for it. Cashin's gaze fell to their joined hands. He noticed the faint trace of a mark on her left ring finger, a band of paler skin where she had worn his ring for 300 years. His hand went to his own chest, to where their bond had once resided. He felt it faint, barely a thread, but present. The connection forged when he turned her should have severed when his body failed centuries ago, but it hadn't. Understanding crashed through him like lightning. The bond, the turning bond between maker and fledgling, it should have faded completely, but Era had kept their bond alive for 3 centuries, fed it with her love, her memories, her stubborn devotion. And the resurrection spell, empowered by that bond, had done more than just bring him back. It had created a magical loop. His newly restored life was anchored to her death. Her death was anchored to his life. 2 ends of the same spell. Oh, Era! Cashin breathed, hope igniting in his chest like dawn. You clever, impossible woman. He understood what the spell was waiting for. Morgan had died because her bond was too new, too weak. Era had maintained theirs with 300 years of cumulative love magic, and true bonds worked both ways. Hold on. Cashin commanded, though she couldn't hear. I'm not losing you. Not after you did this. Not after you came back for me. He grabbed the silver knife, still slick with her blood. He felt it burn his palm. It didn't matter. He cut his own wrist deep and savage, letting 3 centuries of death magic and brand new resurrection power flow into the wound. Then he pressed his bleeding wrist to her mouth and spoke words in the same ancient Latin she had used. Cashin grabbed the silver knife, still slick with Era's blood, and felt it burn his palm. Ignoring the pain, he cut his own wrist deep and savage, allowing 3 centuries of death magic and brand new resurrection power to flow into the wound. He pressed his bleeding wrist to Era's still lips and spoke the words in the same ancient Latin she had used. Ego Cash and Thorn Radians, ex mort danguin mio vitamin proqui ready mit, Arathorn drivo ex tenebraris. I Cash and Thorn returning from death offer my blood, my life, my soul for the one who redeemed me. Arathorn, I call you back from darkness. His blood touched her tongue, flowed into her mouth, down her throat, and the bond, that impossible thread she had maintained for 300 years, blazed to life. Power surged. The circle's light intensified. The magic, finally comprehending the symmetry, roared its approval. This was balance. This was mutual exchange. Not death for life, but life shared. Death conquered together. Come back, Cashin demanded, pouring every ounce of the power her sacrifice had given him. Every drop of love he had carried through his own death into the bond. Come back to me, Era. We're not done. We're never done together. Remember, you said together was better, so come back and be together with me. Her body remained still for one heartbeat. 2, 3, and then she gasped. Her eyes flew open, gold meeting gold. Her hand convulsed in his. Her wound began instantly healing. Vampire flesh knitting back together, powered by his blood, his bond, and his absolute refusal to let her go. Cashin. Her voice was barely a whisper, confused, disbelieving. Your but the spell worked, he laughed. The sound almost a sob. It worked, you magnificent fool. You brought me back, and I'm not letting you go.
Not now. Not ever.
Not after 300 years and 2 resurrections and enough love magic to reshape reality. She stared at him, wondered, joy and disbelief wearing across her face. You're alive. You're really alive, whole healed thanks to you. And you're alive too, he replied, pressing his forehead to hers. Thanks to the bond you never let die, thanks to 300 years of love that broke every magical law I know. But the spell required a sacrifice. Yes, and you gave it. And then I gave it back. He pulled her closer. Because that's what you taught me, isn't it? That love doesn't take, it gives. That the best magic is shared magic. That together is always better than alone. Era's hands came up to cup his face, trembling as she confirmed he was real. I can't believe. I thought I'd never. I know, but we're here. We're both here. Against all odds, magical law and common sense, we're both here. Around them, the spell circle dimmed, its purpose fulfilled. The candles guttered out, the magic settled, content and complete. 2 vampires, both dead, both resurrected, both saved by love that refused to accept endings, held each other in a cemetery at dawn, and simply lived. They stayed in the circle for hours as dawn painted the sky, watching the sun rise together for the first time in 3 centuries. Cashin had missed sunrises. He missed the simple pleasure of Era's face bathed in morning glow. You're staring, Era murmured, tucked against his side. I'm memorizing, Cashin corrected. You've changed. I want to learn every difference, every new line of experience, every way 300 years shaped you. She smiled bittersweet. I've done things you'd be proud of and things you'd question. I'm not the girl you remember. Good, he said, kissing her hair. That girl deserved to grow up. Tell me everything. We have time now, more than we ever thought we would. So, she did. Era told him about House Thorn, about building credibility and changing vampire culture one life at a time, about the council's initial resistance and eventual cooperation, about the young vampire she had saved from execution and the humans she had protected. You built an empire of mercy, Cashin said softly. Everything I hoped for and more. I built what you started, she replied. Your mercy toward me, your choice to teach. That was the foundation. I just carried it forward. For 300 years, I carried you forward. Everything I did was asking, what would Cashin do? How can I honor his choice to save me? Ara, I never stopped missing you. The words tumbled out. I never stopped wishing you could see what I built. I heard you, Era. I heard your voice, your stories, your love. It was the only light in an eternity of nothing. He turned her to face him. I tried to refuse your spell. I tried to stay dead. You'd built an extraordinary life. I didn't want you to throw it away for me. Too late. Era smiled. I'd already decided. No price too high, remember? You taught me that love is worth any cost. We Cashin corrected firmly. We got more time, both of us. I never let the bond fade, Era confessed. Letting it go felt like forgetting you. 300 years of feeding a bond that should have died in 3. No wonder the resurrection magic worked so well. You've been spell casting at my grave for centuries without realizing it. Apparently, love makes lots of impossible things possible. He drew her up with him. They were covered in dried blood, exhausted and gloriously impossibly alive. Come, let's go to the manor. You need rest, and I need to process being awake after 300 years. Era, 40 minutes glanced back at their graves, 2 headstones both bearing the obsolete death date of 2025. Leave them, Cashin said. Let them stand as memorial to the people who died in this circle. We're different now. Those graves can honor who we were while we discover who we've become. He took her hand and they walked toward the manor, leaving 300 years of separation behind. The manor was exactly as Cashin remembered, and yet completely different. Era had made it hers, filling it with evidence of the life she'd lived without him. Photographs lined the hallway, shifting from black and white to color. Era in a 1920s flapper dress with Victoria, her second in command, the first success story of what would become House Thorne's core mission: save the victims, rehabilitate the monsters when possible and then when not. Era with Marcus, the scholar who helped her find the resurrection spell. Era with Alina, saved during the London Blitz, who now runs their European operations. You documented everything, Cashin murmured. I had time, Era smiled. Lots of time, had to fill it somehow. Saving the world one vampire at a time seemed as good a project as any. They entered the library. Cashin had owned perhaps 200 books. The room now held thousands floor to ceiling. I turned the manor into House Thorne's headquarters, Era explained. We have facilities in 12 cities now. But this place, this was always home, where it started. Cashin absorbed this. 3 centuries of his fledgling building something extraordinary while he slept. You've been busy, he said, wonder replacing inadequacy. I built what you started, she corrected. He looked at the scope of her life, the empire of mercy she'd forged, and knew they had an eternity of stories to share. Cashin reached for a book at random and pulled out a leather-bound journal. Opening it, he saw Era's handwriting, neater now, but still recognizably hers. Day 287. Since Cashin's death, the council has finally agreed to hear my proposal for mercy-based vampire rehabilitation. Marcus thinks I'm insane. Victoria thinks I'm brilliant. I think I'm just desperate to make his sacrifice mean something. He closed it carefully, his throat tight. You wrote journals, hundreds of them. I wrote to you mostly. Era laughed, slightly self-conscious. Told you about my days as if you'd read them someday. Stupid probably, but it helped. Made me feel less alone. Not stupid. Cashin set the journal down reverently. Never stupid, Era. This is extraordinary. I knew you would be, but seeing the reality of it, what you built, who you became. I'm still me. She interrupted, suddenly uncertain. I know I've changed. I had to. But the core of who I am, the girl who brought food to your grave, she's still here underneath all the rest. I need you to know that. He crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled her close. I know, I can see her, hear her, feel her. He touched their joined bond, now humming contentedly. She's the reason this worked, the reason you could maintain a bond for 3 centuries. That stubborn, compassionate, impossibly brave girl. She's the foundation everything else was built on. Era relaxed into him, breathing a sigh of unnecessary relief. I was afraid you wouldn't recognize me, that I'd changed too much. Never. Cashin pulled back enough to meet her eyes. You could change in 10,000 ways, and I'd still know you, still love you. That's what the bond means. It grows with you, changes with you, deepens as you deepen. Good, she smiled. Genuine warmth now, because I have 300 years of stories to tell you, experiences to share, mistakes to confess. I want you to know me as I am now. Then tell me, show me your world, Era. Teach me what 300 years taught you. Where should I start? The beginning. From the day I died. Tell me everything. She took his hand, and together they walked toward the reading chairs. They began weaving their lives back together, connecting 300 years of separation with threads of story, memory, and love that had survived death twice. They had 3 perfect days of peace, relearning each other, sharing stories, and enjoying simple domestic joy. Cash learned about smartphones and the drastically evolved vampire society. Era learned about his experience of death, about her voice reaching him through centuries of darkness. On the 3rd day, Victoria arrived. Era felt her second-in-command's approach through their bond and opened the door. Her oldest friend stood on the threshold, a mix of joy and terror on her face. It's true, Victoria's voice shook. You're both alive. I know it's impossible, Era confirmed, pulling Victoria into a fierce hug. We're still processing, but yes, we're both alive. The spell worked. Victoria stepped back, her gaze lingering on Cashin, assessing the centuries dead vampire. Cashin Thorn dead for 3 centuries, and now not. Victoria. Cashin inclined his head respectfully. Thank you for being what she needed when I couldn't be there. She's the best of us, Victoria said, relaxing slightly. If you hurt her, I will not stand for it. I've died once already. I'll die again before I cause her pain. Victoria turned back to Era, her expression shifting to grave concern. We need to talk. The council knows. Marcus had tried to keep their research quiet, but the magical discharge from the resurrection had been registered. They're concerned, Era repeated flatly. Concerned, or they're going to execute you for breaking fundamental magical law. Victoria showed them an official message. Mandatory emergency session in London tomorrow night. Cashin read the message over Era's shoulder. The familiar tension of dealing with the council coiled in his stomach. They want to end us, he said quietly. Resurrection magic is forbidden. We've violated one of the oldest laws. Maybe a jaw set in the stubborn line he remembered. Well, maybe they just want to understand what happened. The council has changed. I've built relationships there. They trust House Thorn. They trust me. Era Victoria's voice was gentle. 3 of the council members are calling for immediate execution. They're citing the magical purges of the 1700s. The purges? Cashin asked, blood running cold. Vampire War Era explained grimly. An idiot resurrected an ancient vampire lord. It escalated. Thousands died. The council banned all resurrection magic under penalty of death, which I just attempted, and which I do again 1,000 times over. Era met Kashan's eyes steadily. If they want to execute me for it, let them try. I'm not without resources or allies. This isn't a fight you can win, Victoria interjected. We're talking about potential war, the cost. I know Era's voice softened, which is why we're going to talk to them, explain what happened. Make them understand this wasn't reckless necromancy. This was love, ancient magic responding to a bond maintained for 3 centuries. We broke death because we couldn't bear to be apart. Love is not a legal defense. Victoria laughed without humor. The hardliners will say love is the most dangerous motivation, the most unpredictable. Cash, who had been quiet, spoke. What if I went alone? Claimed I manipulated the spell. If I'm the only one punished, no. Era cut him off flatly. Absolutely not. We are not doing that. We're not separating again. We face this together or not at all. She gripped his hand fiercely. That's what the spell proved, isn't it? That together is our strength. Running from that, hiding it, that would be denying the very magic that saved us. She's right, Victoria said, surprising them both. Not about the romantic nonsense, but strategically your bond is your best defense. The council hasn't seen anything like it. Era didn't hesitate. Yes, without Cash and House Thorn never would have existed, Era stated, her voice calm, but resonating with absolute conviction that silenced the chamber. The mercy, the laws, the alliances, it all began because he chose to save me. Everything I built was in his memory. To throw away the man for the legacy that would render the legacy meaningless. I would sacrifice it all for him. The council chamber was steeped in profound silence. This was not the arrogant challenge they were accustomed to, but a statement of simple, immutable fact. They were faced with a paradox. The most dangerous lawbreaker was also the most successful peacekeeper in centuries, and her love was the source of both. Finally, the young hostile counselor, utterly defeated by the emotional logic, slumped in his chair. Lucia leaned back, her ancient gaze calculating the weight of Era's 3 centuries of loyalty against the weight of the single law she broke. You are correct, Erathorn. The eldest vampire declared, hypocrisy serves no one. And while we fear the magic you have wrought, the stability of House Thorn, the very stability you have maintained, is now too crucial to the peace of our world to disrupt. She brought a slender silver, tipped finger down onto the marble table with a decisive tap. The verdict is this: the law demands death, but we are creatures of exception. You will not be executed. Resurrection magic, however, remains utterly forbidden under penalty of immediate joint annihilation. You are spared, but you are not free. Look's eyes darker than the London rock around them, fixed on Cashin. Cash and Thorn, you are now the co-founder and co-head of House Thorn. You will share every duty, every alliance, every compromise. Your continued existence is contingent upon the continued stability and loyalty of House Thorn to the Council. Your unique mutually resurrected bond is the mechanism for this sentence. You live and serve together, or you die together. No separation, no personal leave. You will both report to this chamber quarterly. She smiled, a cold, predatory baring of teeth that nonetheless held a hint of grudging respect. You desired to be together, and you proved your love was stronger than death. The Council grants you your eternity, but you will spend it in service. You created a weapon of impossible magic. Now you will use it to protect us all. Go now and do not make us regret this decision. Era felt the immense relief flood through her, instantly followed by the heavy weight of the new conditions. But Cashin squeezed her hand, a small triumphant gesture that spoke volumes. They had survived, they had won, they had their forever. They walked out of the council chamber together, past the silent, staring ancients, and back up into the London night, both covered in the metaphorical dust of battle. The coiling tension in Cashin's gut had been replaced by a fierce protective certainty. Era had built an empire for him. Now they would rule it and serve the world together. Well, Era murmured, leaning against him once they were safely outside. That could have gone worse. It went exactly as you planned, Cashin corrected, kissing the top of her head. You forced their hand, Era. You made the legacy I died for the reason they had to let us live. Now we go home and we start our new forever. Era's gaze was unflinching. I'd burn the world for him, but I didn't have to. The spell worked. We're both here, both alive, both capable of continuing the work. House Thorn is bigger than one vampire now, but Cash, and he's mine. The world can have my mission, my time, my effort, my immortality, but it doesn't get him. Not again. Not ever. Fortunately, Lucia said, leaning back with a genuine smile that melted her terrifying facade. We're not asking you to choose. The chamber erupted into argument, but Lucia raised a hand for silence. We'll vote as is tradition for capital crimes. 7 votes needed for execution, all in favor of ending Era and Cash and Thorn for illegal resurrection magic. 4 hands rose, the young hostile counselor and 3 others, all in favor of mercy. 9 hands, including Lucia's motion, fails. Lucia announced Era and Cash and Thorn will not be executed. She smiled warmly. Instead, you'll be studied, tested, and documented. Your bond, your resurrection, the magic you've created, it could change everything we know about vampire existence. You've given us a gift. Relief crashed through Cashin, and Era squeezed his hand, shock and joy flooding their bond. However, Lucia continued, voice hardening, there are conditions. You'll submit to regular magical examinations. You'll document everything about your bond and your resurrection, and if we ever determine your continued existence poses a threat to vampire society, we reserve the right to revisit this decision. Understood, Era and Cashin said in unison. Then go live your impossible life, love your impossible love, and try to break fewer magical laws in the future. They left the council chamber hand in hand, alive, together, and free. Outside, Victoria and the others surged forward. You survived, Victoria breathed. They actually let you go. More than that, Era laughed, almost crying. They're going to study us, learn from us, maybe even change the laws because of us. Of course they are. Victoria shook her head, smiling. Only you could break one of the oldest magical laws and come out as a research subject instead of a corpse. They celebrated that night, and Cashin met dozens of vampires Era had saved or trained. He saw the legacy she'd built and realized that bringing him back hadn't been about reclaiming the past. It had been about building a future together. They returned to the manor 3 days later, ready to begin their impossible life. They were settled in for a quiet evening, Era reading council documents while Cash learned to navigate the internet when the wards screamed. Both were instantly on their feet, vampire instincts flaring. The sophisticated wards Cashin had placed 300 years ago had never failed. That they were screaming now meant catastrophic danger was approaching. How many? Ira demanded, already moving toward the armory. Cash in, read the wards. 20, maybe 25. All vampire, all powerful, all hostile, mixed signatures. This isn't one house. This is a coalition. The understanding clicked into place. The council had voted for mercy, but some of the old traditional houses saw their resurrection as a destabilizing threat that needed to be eliminated regardless of official policy. They're coming for us, Era said flatly, pulling out weapons. We could run, Cashin offered. Run where? And running means letting them destroy the manor, destroy everything we've built here. She met his eyes fierce. I'm not running, not from our home. Then we fight. They armed themselves quickly, setting defensive positions. Cashin refreshed the wards while Era contacted Victoria. Emergency, Era said tersely, 20+ hostiles approaching the manor. Assassination attempt, I need backup. I'm sending everyone. Hold for 20 minutes, Victoria said immediately. 20 minutes is a long time in a vampire fight. Then don't die. I've had enough resurrections for 1 century. The lion went dead. Era and Cashin took positions in the main hall, backs to each other, their bond humming with perfect synchronization. The front door exploded inward and the fight began. Cashin moved with a lethal grace he thought lost. The resurrection had sharpened his skill. Beside him, Era fought like a demon. 300 years of experience making her extraordinary. They were magnificent together, but heavily outnumbered. Library! Cashin shouted, recognizing the need for a defensible choke point. They retreated, fighting backward until the attackers regrouped. Stepping through the ranks was someone Cashin recognized. Therain, ancient, powerful, and once his friend. Hello, old friend, Durin said softly. Then don't, Cashin replied. Walk away. You know I can't. You broke the oldest law. The council may have been swayed by sentiment, but some of us remember why that law exists. His eyes flicked to Era. House Thorn's mercy, 56 minutes initiative weakened vampire culture. Now you perform forbidden magic. You're a threat, a magical anomaly. Better to end you now. The council judged us. Era countered. You're the one breaking law. The council is outdated, corrupted by modern sentiment. Some of us remember the old ways when vampires were apex predators. Duran drew a spelled anti-vampire blade. Over my dead body, Era snarled, positioning herself between Duran and Cashin. That's the plan. The fight resumed more vicious. Slowly, inevitably, Cashin and Era were pushed back. Cashin took a blade to the shoulder. Era took a stake to the thigh. They were losing. Then the ward screamed again. Friendlies approaching. House Thorn had arrived. Victoria burst through the side entrance with 20 vampires. Marcus came through windows. Elena appeared from the basement. The fight transformed from an execution into a genuine battle. House Thorn's vampires were fiercely loyal and well-trained. The tide turned slowly, bloodily. Durin, seeing the battle lost, disengaged. This isn't over. You can't protect them forever. He and his surviving vampires fled. Silence fell. The manor was destroyed, but they were alive. Both of them still standing, still together. That Era said, leaning heavily on Cashin, was closer than I'd like. Agreed. Ears arrived. Victoria reported the attack to the council. Durin had violated a direct council judgment. Political nightmare. House alliances shifting. Potential for larger conflict. Victoria grimly summarized, but they were alive. They had survived death twice and assassination once. Whatever came next, they'd face it together. 6 months after the attack, the manor had been rebuilt. House Thorn mobilized dozens of vampires to repair and restore their home, incorporating updated security and advanced defenses. Cashin had adapted to the modern world with surprising ease, his fascination driving him. He officially joined House Thorn, lending his centuries of experience and lethal skill to their mission. Cashin's skills, diplomatic, strategic, philosophical, were exactly what the expanding organization needed. He and Era worked together now, partners in every sense. Separately, they were formidable. Together with their bond and synchronization, they were nearly unstoppable. The council kept its word. Regular testing and documentation, studying the magical anomaly they represented with genuine scientific curiosity. Slowly, cautiously, resurrection magic was being reconsidered. They had changed the world again together. Tonight, though, wasn't about world-changing. Tonight was about them. Era stood in the cemetery at the two graves that had started everything. The headstones had been updated with new truthful inscriptions. Cash and Thorn, Savior remembered, resurrected. Era Thorn, the girl who woke him twice. She smiled, running her fingers over the carved letters. Cashin joined her, wrapping an arm around her waist. Twice, Cashin added with a smile, "You broke it twice. Once to bring me back, once when I brought you back. Fair's fair. Fair's fair," she agreed. "I have something for you," Cashin said, pulling a small box from his pocket. "Been meaning to do this properly. Should have done it 300 years ago, but I thought we didn't have time." Stupid in retrospect. Era's breath caught as he opened the box, revealing a simple silver band inscribed with Latin, "Simila, simul in mort, simul in aeternum." Together in life, together in death, together in eternity. Cashin dropped to one knee despite the complete lack of necessity. We're already bonded, bloodhound, soul-bound, magically connected in ways that have never existed before. But I want the human gesture, too. I want to ask properly. Arathorn, will you marry me again? I suppose given we've already sworn ourselves to each other in every way that matters. But I'd like the symbol, the ring, the promise made before witnesses that we're choosing each other forever. Era laughed, crying, and pulled him up to kiss him fiercely. Yes, 5 seconds, absolutely, yes. To human gestures and vampire bonds, and every kind of together we can create. He slipped the ring on her finger. Of course, it fit perfectly. 14 seconds show long do you think we have? Era asked the question that still haunted them. I don't know. Cashin answered honestly. 21 seconds could be centuries, could be years, could be tomorrow. If the comes back with a bigger army, then we'd better make every moment count. They kissed, 29 seconds there between two graves marking deaths that had been transcended. Their story would never be forgotten. Come on, Era said, tugging him toward the manor. 38 seconds, Victoria's waiting. She helped me plan something. A wedding, obviously. 42 seconds, apparently. There are 17 vampire traditions we need to honor. And she's personally offended we didn't include her in the proposal. Cashin laughed. 50 seconds, genuine and free. Of course she is. Let on love. Let's go plan our impossible wedding for our impossible life. 50 of 58 seconds years later, Era and Cash and Thorn stood in the cemetery again on the anniversary of their first meeting. The graves remained, monuments to where their story began. But around them, everything had changed. House Thorn operated in 43 cities now. Vampire predation had decreased by 70%. Resurrection magic, carefully regulated, had been legalized for specific, just circumstances. All because two vampires had loved each other enough to break death. They had married 3 times. Once in a traditional vampire ceremony with the full council attending, once in a human ceremony, and once in a private ritual, renewing their vows every anniversary since. They had fought wars, brokered peace, and saved thousands. But the best moments were always the quiet ones, standing in a cemetery at midnight, holding hands, remembering the lonely girl and the imprisoned vampire who'd found each other against all odds. Happy anniversary, Cashin murmured, pressing a kiss to Era's temple. Happy anniversary, she returned. 356 years since we met, 306 since you died, 50 since you came back. And counting above them, stars wheeled in ancient patterns. Ahead of them, an immortal future stretched, uncertain but beautiful. Together, always together, they walked hand in hand toward their manor, toward their family, toward their forever. Behind them, 2 graves stood as a memorial, not to death, but to transformation, not to endings, but to beginnings. Here lies a man who saved many, remembered by one, resurrected by love. Here lies the girl who woke him twice. Here lies proof that some things are worth any cost. Here lies love that conquered death itself. The gravekeeper's tale was far from over. It was just beginning. Some things are worth any cost. That is the whole of Era and Cashin's story, told 100 different ways across 2 deaths, 1 resurrection, 1 war with an ancient vampire house, and centuries of a love that refused every ending offered to it. A frightened orphan who once left bread at a stranger's grave became the founder of an empire built on mercy. A soldier condemned to eternal starvation for saving a village became her partner. her maker, and twice the man she brought back from true death. Their graves still stand side by side in that quiet English cemetery, inscriptions rewritten again and again to keep pace with a story that never seemed to end. Here lies a man who saved many, remembered by one, resurrected by love. Here lies the girl who woke him twice. Together in life, together in death, together in eternity. That was always the vow. And as the wind moves through the headstones on quiet nights, it still seems to carry an answer back. Thank you for reading The Gravekeeper's Vow. If this story stayed with you, its final line says it best: the gravekeeper's tale was far from over. It was just beginning.